Hello ladies and gentlemen and TV show lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video we are going to be doing something a little different. For the very first time, I'm going to be doing every episode ranked and a series review in one video. And it is going to be on the Book of Boba Fett. So the first and possibly only season of the Book of Boba Fett just wrapped up its 7-episode run on Disney+. And as per my usual fashion, here I am to rank all of the episodes, but I figured I'd also throw in my entire thoughts on the series as a whole. And just a quick fair warning, I am going to be absolutely diving into spoiler territory. Yes, that is right, I am going to be giving my raw, unfiltered thoughts on each and every episode, giving away all of the major plot points and big reveals, so you have been warned. Before we get into the actual ranking and review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have entire playlists dedicated to all of my rankings and reviews. So be sure to check each of them out along with my other playlists, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Firstly, I will be doing my ranking of all 7 episodes, and then I will dive into my overall thoughts on the series. Number 7. Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. This episode was just plain bad. There are only a couple of silver linings. Those being that I actually found the slaughter of the Tusken Raider tribe that Boba was with to be quite sad, as well as Danny Trejo's surprise appearance and oddly touching affection for the Rancor. Aside from that, we are introduced to a group of characters that I genuinely dislike, the Mods. I find them unbearably uninteresting and their costumes look rather cheap. Then we have Boba Fett's wet and wild throwdown with Black Chrysanthemum, which just felt kind of awkward, like I felt like I shouldn't have been watching it. Not to mention this episode features what is most likely the worst chase sequence in anything Star Wars related at all. Number 6. Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. This episode wasn't quite as bad as the last one I just mentioned, but it's just super forgettable. I like to see how Boba and Fennec Shand found each other and teamed up. I really enjoy their dynamic in this show, so this worked well for me. Killing the Sarlacc and retrieving Boba's ship were fine, I guess. But hearing that Mando theme at the end was a welcome cherry on top to cap things off. Number 5. Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. I do think that this was a bit of a slow start, but for a pilot episode, I really didn't mind it all that much. This opener takes the time to finally explain to lifelong Star Wars fans how Boba survived the Sarlacc pit, and where he's been up until his appearance in The Mandalorian Season 2. I thought the Tusken Raiders angle was an interesting approach, and added a lot more life to these faceless and voiceless characters. I mean, they make their noises, but nobody is ever able to translate them really. I also appreciated how they took the time to slowly start building Boba's relationship and bond with them, and carefully planted the seeds for that continued growth in the next episode. Number 4. Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. I do feel this one was a slight improvement over the first, though it does feel very similar in terms of tone and pacing. I really did enjoy the increased focus on the growing bond between Boba and the Raiders, especially when they fully embrace him as one of their own and begin to take training from him as well, also including the final portion where he finally gets his own weapon crafted by them. The train sequence too I thought was exhilarating and well shot. Number 3. Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. This finale was a bit messy, a bit underwhelming, a mix and match of ideas with a lot going on, but in the end, still quite fun. Seeing Mando and Boba team up was fantastic. The Rancor versus the giant droids not only looked great, but was so awesome seeing something completely bonkers. Boba's final duel with Cad Bane was quite intense and actually kind of emotional. We get the return of Grogu as we find out which choice he made, and honestly, there's just lots to enjoy here as a Star Wars fan if you're not being too critical. Not to mention it's pretty much all action with virtually no downtime. Number 2. Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian. This 5th episode is quite literally just an episode of The Mandalorian. I mean, really though, Boba Fett doesn't even show up. But that being said, it is a damn good episode of The Mandalorian. We get to learn more about the Creed and see how few of them there are left. We also learn more about the Darksaber and its history. Mando gets to be a badass as per usual and gets a sweet new ride. It's a really simple episode, but it's all so well crafted and so genuinely enjoyable. Number 1. Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. The penultimate episode of what was supposed to be a Boba Fett show is a perfect balance of storytelling, fan service, and connecting the greater Star Wars universe. We get to see a vastly improved CGI Luke training Grogu. Mando shows up to see him but decides it's not his choice to make and leaves a present behind for him. Of course, that also ties in an appearance from Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka, and we get to see the Jedi Academy from the sequel trilogy being built. Cobb Vanth returns, and then holy shit, they brought Cad Bane to live action and he looks absolutely perfect. So that is my ranking of all 7 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and now I will provide to you all my general thoughts on the series as a whole. In the end, I'm pretty bummed to report that I found the Book of Boba Fett to be just fine. Maybe even good if you consider the Mando episodes a part of Boba Fett's show. I mean, yeah, like they're in there as a part of the show, but they're really just prologue episodes for The Mandalorian Season 3. It just sucks because this is one of the coolest characters in all of the Star Wars lore finally getting the spotlight to himself. Then they were hyping everyone up because this was coming from Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Robert Rodriguez, all of whom are responsible for The Mandalorian, which I might add is one of the best shows currently going. But beyond the basic premise of explaining how Boba survived and now he wants to take over Jabba the Hutt's place, I really feel like they just didn't know what to do with this show. I did enjoy seeing his time with the Tusken Raiders and seeing that relationship and bond grow over time as he took on their ways, but it also took up so much of this show's runtime. I mean, really, it felt like we spent barely any time at all in this show's present timeline. There really is a general mix of good and bad throughout. I liked the train heist, I liked the action-packed final episode, I liked Boba and Fennec's dynamic, and of course the inclusion of Cad Bane, but there's just also a lot to dislike too. I felt the pacing was awful. I didn't like the characters, the mods, at all either. And the plot was just kind of a mess with a lot of hanging loose threads, and too many things going on at once as I often felt they were carelessly trying to connect the dots. And now, not that this is necessarily a negative because these were the best episodes of the show, but Boba had the entire second half of his show completely hijacked, as it just became a full-blown The Mandalorian Season 3 prologue. There are 2 full episodes of 7 dedicated entirely to Mando where Boba shows up for maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds total between the 2. Even in the finale, Boba is just one of the stars. Mando gets just as much screen time, and then there's also a huge emphasis on Grogu's return. If I were rating this as a hardcore Boba Fett show, then I don't think it's really all that great. But if I'm giving it a score based on the series as a whole, well, I actually did enjoy myself a fair bit, because those final 3 episodes were really, really solid. So with all that being said, I'm going to be giving the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 a 7 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking and review. While you're at it, feel free to let me know how you would have ranked all 7 of these episodes and what you would score the Book of Boba Fett out of 10. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.